Hello, happy Thursday. Hello, beauties. I'm so excited that you're here for this Unlocking Desires Masterclass. This topic is so dear to me because many things. A lot of my clients, it comes up for them. They're not sure what they want. But I was also in the same exact boat for so long, and I've kind of broken out of this mindset. And so I'm here today to share what I have, what I've learned, and do a little bit of exercises and a little bit of fun in between. So thank you for being here today. For those of you watching on the replay, if you have any questions, I'll share how to get in contact with me afterwards. So unlocking desires, the masterclass. What we're going to cover today. First of all, I want to say thank you for signing up. Thank you for showing up. We as women in particular, and I'll speak to that because we're all women here, we're not good at putting ourselves first. We're not great at always doing things that are just for us. And this hour is going to be just for you and just for us collectively. But seeking clarity and embracing your passions is something else that we don't put enough time into. So I'm really, really proud of you for being here for that. And I am Nathalie Delaine. I know most of you here, but I'm Nathalie Delaine. I am a mindfulness life coach. I've been life coaching for almost 5 years. I love what I do. I love just sharing what I have inside, and hopefully that it helps other people kind of expand, grow, and just become their full selves. So in a noisy world, which we do live in a noisy world, there are so many external voices, internal voices, and just noise and distractions. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but taking a step towards becoming your authentic self starts with what do you want, right? And I call it desires, but underneath that, it's what do you want? So at the end of today, I want you guys to kind of walk away with like, you know what, at least one thing that you can declare saying, I know what I want. So our objectives today, we're going to uncover some of these hidden desires and talk about the misconception of the I don't know myth. And that's what I've been calling it because, I ask people all the time, well, what do you really want? I don't know. Well, what do you think you desire at the end of the day? I'm not sure. So that happens a lot. And it happens to me too, right? Uncertainty is a part of the world. But how do we bust that myth? Because it is a myth. Deep down underneath all the noise, we really know what we want. So we're going to tap into that. We're going to peel away those layers, drowning out the noise. So I'm going to talk about some practical techniques that I use for silencing the external chatter, but also the one that's right here where we all have our own thoughts. Then we're going to do a little exercise together on how to build that confidence. How do we build that confidence to ask boldly for the things that we want? And that's another piece that I think women kind of lack. Men have always been taught to be loud, audacious, and bold, and women were also taught to just speak a little softer and not seem so demanding. But I don't fall in that camp. We all get to ask for what it is that we want. Hold on, someone else is joining. Give me a quick second. Okay, I'm in. So, and we're going to have a little fun. At least I hope. I'm already having fun. I hope you guys have fun too. So welcome, Simone, as you're joining in. All right. So how did I get here? How did I go from the aimless party girl, as you see on the left, to today, the fulfilled and happy entrepreneur? And when I say aimless party girl, the people who have known me for a long time know this is true. I really didn't know what I want. And it wasn't even that I was trying to find out what I wanted. I was just trying to drown out my feelings and the noise with a lot of shots, as you see in this picture. But it was fun and it was great. But was I living that authentic, passionate life that I have now? Not at all. So how did I get from there to here? A lot of transformational journeys. Some of you have actually been on that journey with me. A lot of reading, a lot of courses, a lot of crying, a lot of journaling. But one of the biggest things for me was learning how to listen to my own heart's voice. And like I started with today, this world is so noisy. How do we listen to our heart's voices when we have tasks, boyfriends, kids, pickup, drop off, dinner, laundry, right? Like, how do we take a moment to listen to what our hearts desire? And I want to start here by saying too that 9 out of 10 of us will say, well, I don't really know what I want, but that's just the noise in your head. And I want to make that so clear. I'm going to say it a bunch of times today because I want you to distinguish between You do know, maybe you're not ready to express it. And how do we release some of that noise that's in your head? For some of you that just joined, I'm looking at two screens because I have your beautiful faces on one and my presentation on the other, but I'm listening. So let's just get started with a Zoom poll because they're fun. Let me share this now. Can you guys see the poll on your end? Thumbs up. Perfect. So here's a question. What's your main challenge right now when it comes to gaining clarity about what you desire? And then go ahead and select whichever one feels right for you. I'll give it a few moments for you guys to answer. Perfect. So far, the number one answer is difficulty expressing my wants confidently. And amen, I hear that. When we realize we do know what we want, we don't know how to verbally express that, or even show it, or even demand it, or even request it. So I hear that loud and clear. But there's also a tie between overthinking and self-doubt and feeling overwhelmed by the external noise. Thank you guys for answering the poll. And there's no right and wrong answer here, right? Like we're all our individuals, and all of these are so valid to like getting that clarity that we seek when it comes to what we really desire. So thank you for playing. I'm going to end the poll. All right. Let me see. I'll share the results too. Perfect. So the illusion. So I talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks, but this idea that I don't know what I want is a misconception. And by that, I mean, most of us have hidden desires, but they're so concealed by the noise. And noise meaning external noises like society's norms, your parents' voices, as well as internal voices. So a lot of times we've tried things in the past and maybe it didn't succeed. So those fears that we've created in our minds kind of become the louder voice, like, oh, but I tried that once and I didn't make it. I'm scared to try it again. So external and internal noises are so real when it comes to concealing what it is that we want. But I want to talk about 3 common misconceptions here, because I want you to know that first, it's okay if you have any of these misconceptions. And second, the better part, it's okay to shift out of these misconceptions. So the first one, and I like this one, the fixed dream misconception, right? So people always think that you should have your dreams clearly defined in life from like day one. So you're born and suddenly, yes, now you're ready to, hold on, I need to admit somebody. Oh, okay, they're in. Sorry about that. So the fixed dream misconception, right? That believing that your dream should be clear from like 5 years old. No, the reality is that our dreams can evolve the way we do, and we are constantly evolving. So the dreams can evolve and they can be discovered at 5 years old, at 10 years old, 20, 30, 40, and it's getting yummier as we get into the 40s. So like, you don't have to have your dream completely in plan by age of 5. So that's a huge common misconception. The second one, the all or nothing misconception, thinking that you have to have one passion in life and then you put all your eggs into that basket. No, as we all know, and as we're beautiful women that handle a lot on our plates already, we can have more than one passion, right? I have dance as one, and then doing this as a second. Do I equally split my time? Not always, but I can still have 2 passions. So the reality is that we can have multiple interests, and it actually makes our lives much richer and better anyway than just sticking to one passion. The third misconception, the external validation. And this one's really rings true for me. It's believing that your dreams must align with society's norms. And this is huge. And this is hard for all of us, right? Like we're shown, we're taught, things are always around us that tell us this is how it should be. This is how it should be. You should have this, you should have that. So, it's not true. Okay, sorry, I just got a message and totally threw me off the rails. I apologize. So the misconceptions, the third one, I apologize. The external validation. So your dreams do not have to follow what society deems as normal. And that's the other thing. Society is deeming that it's normal, but it doesn't mean that it is. So the reality is that your unique desires are valid and that you can follow your own happiness. And so coming back to this illusion of not knowing, I hope those three misconceptions kind of shows you what I mean by it's an illusion. It's just this thing that we hide behind because we really do know what our desires are. We get lost in our thoughts and with these misconceptions. So clearing the path to uncovering your desires and getting that clarity. So I talked in the last slide, I talk a lot about it's all an illusion, that I don't know what I want. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not saying that life doesn't have uncertainty. It does. And if it didn't, we'd all be millionaires because we'd know the lotto numbers. But there is a lot of uncertainty in life. But what I mean is when it comes to you and your ultimate desires, you really do know. So I talked about this too, right? Clearing the clouds of external noise and internal voices. And those two different things, I want to talk about them again. So the external noises are the loudest, the societal norms, which a lot of times comes through Instagram, TV, the big things, TikTok for sure, like all those really big things that show us how things should look. And this is nice, and this is nice. So kind of quieting those voices that come from the external sources, but there's also the internal. And the internal is a little bit harder because that stems from past experiences that we've gone through. So for example, if I'm afraid to swim, but really I want to run in a triathlon, but I've tried before and I almost drowned and I got hurt and it didn't work. And like that fear of being in the water and not making it through the triathlon kind of scares me a little bit. So that fear holds me back from my true desire of being in the triathlon. So how do we quiet those external and internal voices? One of the things, and I have two examples here, there are a myriad of examples, but I'm going to give you just two because for the sake of the presentation. The first one, limiting your social media and setting boundaries with the people around you can definitely begin to soothe that noise. And on the iPhone now, there's a social media like time limit. I use that. If you guys don't, I encourage you to use them because it's kind of nice. It just turns off by yourself. You don't even know. Also, setting boundaries with your family members, with your partner, with your teacher's group, with your mother's group, like starting to set boundaries. For me, and most of my friends know this, by 9 o'clock, I don't turn my phone off, but I turn off the alerts. So if people text me, I don't see it until the next day. But that's a boundary that I created for me because I want to start going into like, it's time for me to relax and detach from the world. So setting those healthy boundaries, limiting your social media is one beautiful how on quieting the noise. Another way, and no surprise here, mindfulness and meditation exercises are amazing for quieting your internal voice. And by that, I mean, when we are mindful, and this is why I love this topic, we live in the present moment. And from the present moment, everything is possible. That's where we have the boundless opportunity to choose what we want. I'm not saying we always choose correctly, but when we come into the present moment, there's limitless boundaries and limitless options, not boundaries. And then so obviously meditation, because the act of meditation is becoming still, even though a lot of us have a lot of the voices in our head and the to-dos and the laundry and picking up the kids and all that good stuff. Meditation helps us practice coming back to being aware of what we're thinking and then letting those thoughts go. So with that, we're going to do a quick meditation. I'm going to walk you through it. Give me a second to play some music. Let me know if you can hear the music. You can hear the music. So sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a slow, deep breath in. Exhale slowly, releasing any tension in your beautiful body. Imagine stepping into a radiant, tranquil sanctuary within your heart. It's a sacred space where your true desires reside, surrounded by an aura of serenity. As you stand in this sanctuary, feel the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat, a reminder of your life's essence. Now, Allow your deepest desires to emerge. Visualize them as vibrant blossoms, each one representing a unique aspiration or dream. These blossoms are the core of your being, the desires that make you who you are. With each breath, these desires grow stronger, filling the sanctuary with their beauty and significance. Take a moment to reflect on the desires that have emerged. Embrace them as a part of you, an integral piece of your journey. Know that these desires are valid, powerful, and deserving of your attention. When you're ready, wiggle your toes and wiggle your nose and slowly open your eyes back up. And welcome back. And so most of you got the preparation email. Take out your journals or a piece of paper, whatever you have in front of you. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What did you notice about your thoughts when you were fully present in the moment? Were they racing? Were they quieter? Were you just thinking about your to-do list? Were you thinking about that you're hungry? Like, what happened? What did you notice about your thoughts when you were fully present? Write down a few things. And then once you've written down the quality of your thoughts, what desires emerged? And don't be shy. I'm not going to ask you to read this. This is for you. What came up, right? Like, we were sitting in silence, breathing. It was short and cute, but what came up when you closed your eyes and asked yourself and thought about what your heart, what's inside of there? And write it down. All right. Well, welcome back. Thank you for playing. I love meditation. So we're going to get into some of the juicy stuff. The art of asking. And this part is where a lot of people, I don't want to say fail, a lot of people feel challenged, right? Asking for what we truly desire. So we did a little exercises. We talked about the myth of what I not really knowing, and we asked our hearts what it is that we desire. But the key to unlocking opportunities is confidently asking. And when I say confidently asking, it's believing that you truly desire the thing that you're asking for, right? Like when I'm going to say the universe / God / source, it can feel your energy. So if you're asking for a raise and you go into your boss's office and you're like, hey, I was kind of thinking I've been working overtime. Can I have a raise? Does that seem confident? No. Do you think that she will take you seriously, or he or she, your boss will take you seriously? Does the universe take you seriously? No. So when I say confidently asking, it means deeply believing that you deserve this thing that you're asking for. So confidence unlocks opportunities for sure. Does that take practice? Of course, but this is a step 1, right? Hesitation. So not asking confidently can impede your request. This used to happen to me a lot, actually. I used to go on vacation to the Caribbean for about 3 weeks, which in New York, it's unfathomable to go away for more than a week. I used to have scared to ask my boss. And I would hesitate and hesitate and hesitate. And then by the time I asked her, my voice was so tired because I was already freaking out and not even thinking I deserved it anymore, which is silly because going to the Caribbean for 3 weeks is always necessary. So hesitation hinders your progress, right? Like if you know, stand in your confidence and go for it. So the third thing, overcoming the fear. And we talked a little about some fears, but rejection isn't always a bad thing. Rejection can be an opportunity for growth. And I know we don't always see that at the moment, but it is. There's always growth. And if you reframe the rejection as just that, a step towards your desires, it'll get easier. And the more you do it, the easier it'll become. So working through your fear, right? Embrace the rejection as the growth. Clarity, and I talk about this all the time. So clearly defining your desires before you even ask makes it easier for everyone. They understand it. You're more confident. You're speaking to it. So defining and being clear on what your desires are is so important when you're asking. And this can, and I keep using the job example, but this can be asking your partner for something that's been on your mind. This can be asking your mom for extra support. This can be asking your daughter for something. Like the questions are boundless, but the art of asking, to me, these four little pieces really makes the ask even more powerful. So here's another thing that I really want to talk about. And I'm actually going to read from the slide, and I don't like doing this, but this is the only slide I'm going to do it for. The minimization trap. And again, we're all women here, but this tends to happen mostly to women. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it because it's powerful. The minimization trap. It's a tendency, especially among women, to downplay their desires and ask for less than what they truly want. And this is key. And I've personally experienced this, the women that I help coach and my clients experience this, right? Like you not feeling that you actually deserve for the thing that you're asking for. And this is huge. You're already minimizing what can be a great thing just because of your thoughts and your inner chatter. So there's also, we've been conditioned to either be quiet and calm and not be too ambitious in the world of, society and in the world of corporate America. But it's okay to be too ambitious if anybody can be. So why not? And then being afraid of what the norms of society are like that again. So women typically are calm and quiet and collected in the workplace. So I'm not going to go ahead and ask for that raise. No, ask for it anyway, because if that's what you truly desire, just because you desire it alone, you're worth it and you should ask for it. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. In personal relationships, right? A lot of times we settle for less than what we truly desire. And instead of expressing the need for emotional support from our partner, we don't, because we don't want to feel like a burden. Oh, I don't want him to think that I'm burdening him or her. I don't want them to think that I'm a burden because I'm asking for more emotional support or I'm asking for any kind of support. So this is already minimizing what it is that you need, and that sense of just settling for something that's not what you actually desired. And at the end of the day, the minimization trap just leads to all of our needs being unmet. And that just leads to unhappiness and crankiness and just issues all around. So I put this slide in here because I know that my target audience is women, but I want all of you to hear this. You do not have to downplay your desire for anyone. And this is so important because why not ask? Like, why not ask? What's the worst that can happen? Someone says no. And like we talked about on the previous slide, rejection can just be an opportunity for growth. And if that person says no, guess what? There are a bunch of other people that might say yes, or maybe, or something in between. You never know. So next activity, we're going to play, I call it a game. It's not really a game, but we're going to, because we're not in person, which I would love to do these things in person. We're still going to do an exercise, even though we're not in the traditional sense in person. So think of something that you truly desire, and not like the easy things like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Like, no, think about those things that you truly desire that you probably don't say out loud very often, that you probably nobody knows about because you don't talk about it. So think about the thing that you truly, truly, truly desire. It can be related to your career. It can be related to your personal life. It can be related to a hobby. I don't mind what it is. So the next part is, I want you to text me privately. So I don't know if everyone knows how to do that. If you open up the chat, you can click on the two bottom below. You can click on my name. So click on message to Nathalie Delaine and direct it. That way it can stay anonymous if you want. So put into Nathalie Delaine a direct message and type it in. And that way your answers remain confidential. But think about something that you truly want, not just, again, I go back to this, like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Although I'm not saying that that's not important. I'm thinking more about the bold things that you really, really, really desire. So I'll give us a minute here so that you guys can type in some answers into the chat. All right. Somebody wrote in, a partner or someone to care for me and check in with me. Thank you for sharing. And yes, that's a beautiful ask, and that's a beautiful desire. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit. How can we make that ask a little bit bolder? How can we amplify that ask? How can you get a little bit more clear, right? Like when you say a partner, what kind of partner? What kinds of, personality? What kinds of status? Like, how can you amplify this ask? And you don't necessarily have to do it now, but this is more for you. I want to start to teach all women to empower themselves. I have another answer here. A job that challenges me and also compensates fairly. Yes, that can be really hard, especially because we're so talented. We're beyond, beyond, beyond talented. So finding a job that will pay for you to do all the things that it demands. And how can we even amplify that ask? How can you say, like, you know what? I want a contract, but my minimum for the hourly contract rate is $30 because I know the value that I'm going to give is X. So how can I find a company that will pay me this for this? And you ask for it. Like, how can we amplify that beautiful ask? It's nice. So I got another answer. Going back to the first one that said, they would like a partner. She wrote, a genuine, honest, and true person or man. And that's better. Thank you. Thank you for amplifying our ask. And the whole point of this exercise is to show you guys that, yes, asking for a partner is wonderful, but how can we amplify that? How can we become crystal clear so that those things that you really want come to you? And thank you for playing. If there's anything else, you guys can keep writing in the chat and I'll look at them and I can always write to you later, if that helps. So talking about embracing your bold asks. So I get it. I totally get this. We've all had that nervous feeling, and I talked about it when I talked about asking my boss for vacation. Like when we make the requests for things that are really important to us, it's scary. It's super scary. But instead of falling into the fear, I want to ask you guys to take that energy of fear as stage fright and just do it anyway. Like we all get kind of scared asking for things, but just go for it anyway. The fear, and again, like when that fear arises with those demands or requests, it's just kind of feedback telling yourself that this is something you really want. So fear can be used as like a mechanism, right? It can be a form of feedback. Hello, good morning, to push you to keep going. Visualization can really also help making your asks even bolder. So a lot of times, before, let's keep going with this example of my boss, I would envision her saying, yeah, no problem, send me an email request for your vacation. Like, and I would just visualize that. And so the more that I visualized the outcome that I was looking for, sometimes the bolder and the more confident I would feel to make the requests and the asks. Start small. And right, like start small. If this is something with your partner and you have a desire or request, start small. Don't ask for the world right away, but start something smaller and then slowly crank up the volume and make it louder. And I don't even mean louder with your voice. I mean more amplified, bolder, louder in that sense. And it's just kind of like music, right? Like practice makes perfect. If you're playing an instrument, at first you're not that good at it, but the more you practice, like with everything, the more we practice, the better and easier we get. So turning up the volume, thinking about fear as feedback, visualizing that you're confident and that you're going to get what you're asking for, and start with baby steps. Like those are really, really, really key ways to embolden these desires that we have and the asks that we have inside of us. So what have you guys taken away so far from today? Like what has been the most aha moment? And you can open the chat to everyone. It doesn't have to be just to me, but feel free to write in the chat, like what have you taken away? What have you gotten out of this today so far? And while we're waiting, I actually got another answer to the previous question about putting in an ask. Someone wrote more support with the demands of family life. And yes, that is a beautiful, beautiful desire. And how can we amplify that one? Maybe instead of saying more support, write what the support looks like to you. And you can say, you know what, beautiful partner, support to me this week with the kids in the home life would look like A, pick up the kids, B, make sure the homework is done by 7 p.m. and C, two nights this week, you get to cook dinner, right? Like get specific and amplify that ask and get like, you can, it's your demand, it's your desire. You can write what the support would look like. So thank you for sharing. That was great. All right, let's keep it moving. So for those of you who don't know what I do, so I am a life coach, like I mentioned earlier, and I love to start with masterclasses like this because it's mostly just to get your minds and your hearts open and thinking. But what I do with my clients is like I tailor exactly the word. So what we did here, right? I would tailor it to you and your needs and your requests and your desires. Because to me, coaching isn't like therapy. Well, it is in the sense that each person has their own journey, but I like to make it feel like you are being listened to, you're being witnessed, because 9 out of 10 times that's all humans want. So I tailor support towards my clients. Hold on. I also, as I mentioned, I come up with mindful strategies. I love meditation. Meditation has completely transformed my life. And I started 9 years ago. 9 years ago, and I've missed a handful of days in 9 years. So meditation isn't for everyone, and I totally recognize that. But I come up with a lot of other mindfulness techniques and exercises. One in particular is I do a mindfulness color walk, just to help you ground in and be present in the moment. And we talked about this earlier too. For me, when we come into the present moment, it's where the magic literally happens. It's where there's choice. We have choice when we're in the present moment. If we're stuck in the past or if we're worried about the future, how do you navigate where to go? So helping people come back into the present moment with my mindfulness exercises is something I do. And lastly, support. And I get a lot of feedback from my clients that they love that I check in with them a week after our sessions, that I ask about the soul work that I assign, and I do assign soul work. So it's pretty much homework, but I call it soul work because it's tied to whatever it is that we talked about in that session specifically. So, I want you to know that you are supported because you are with me. And there's nothing better to know that there's an accountability buddy. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds and you're trying to go on walks every night, how nice is it for someone to check in and be like, well, did you go on your walk? And if not, asking gently, well, what do you think stopped you from going on that walk? So having that accountability, that partnership is there. And so these are 3 ways that I and specifically work with my clients on nurturing your path forward after this class, if you are interested. But mostly, I really want to encourage you guys to do the things we talked about today, right? And so I have 3 calls to action for you. It's start by eliminating the noise, the external noises and the internal noises that are in our beautiful minds that we talked about earlier on in today's class. And I listed some examples, but please reach out to me if you want more. There are a myriad of examples of how to do this, but I want you to start today. Start finding ways to set healthy boundaries. Start limiting your social media, like, or limiting TV time, or limiting the news, whatever it is that helps you kind of find some quieter inner peace. So start eliminating noise. Number two, listen to your heart. I probably talk about this every single day as I coach in my world of coaching. It's hard, and I also say this, it is hard to listen to our hearts. We are busy human beings, and we spend so much time doing and not a lot of time being. But listening to our hearts is the time where we just get to be. And inside of there are the answers. And that's the best part. Like, we think we don't know the answers, and we always, we fall into the I don't know myth, but deep down in your beautiful heart, the answers are all there. So take time to listen to your heart. And lastly, ask boldly. I cannot emphasize this enough. And we talked super briefly a couple slides ago about starting small. If this part scares you, and it probably will for most of you, that's okay. We're all scared with things that we're not used to doing, but go for it anyway. Go for it. Ask for what it is that you want. Ask for what it is that you desire. Because the number one reason that women don't usually get what it is that they want is because they don't ask. And when I figured that out some years ago, I was like, no, that's sad. Why wouldn't we ask? Why don't we ask? Like, it's just silly. So if you walk away with anything today, there's a lot that I covered. Walk away with this. The reason women don't get what they want is because they don't ask. So it's time for you to ask boldly and ground into that desire. And if you took notes today in your journal, like, look at some of those desires, amplify them, and start asking. And I'm excited about this. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to follow up to see what came up for you. I wanted to say thank you. I love doing this. One day it'll be in person, but thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for showing up for you today, even if it's been for 45 minutes. It's a great first step. And always know that what you want is on the other side of asking. So if you would like to get in touch with me, here's my link down below, but I will also paste it in the chat, which I can't find right now. But does anyone have any questions? I'm so sorry I didn't ask anybody if they had any questions, but does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? Please unmute yourself or type away. People are writing, thank you. You're so welcome. You're very welcome. Please follow me. Please ask me any questions. If anything pops up afterwards, for example, you go to sleep, you have a dream, and this amazing, huge desire comes up, and you're like, nah, I do not know how to ask for this. Reach out to me, because this is where the work comes in, right? Like, getting that clarity, of course, but then let's put it into practice. Go ahead.
I actually do have a question.
Yeah.
So, what if your desires are not necessarily an ask,
Mm.
more
Mhm.
so, right? It could be something emotional
Yes.
or like more peace, let's say. I'm trying to think of one, but that came through my head. Like, what if it's not something that I want to ask for,
Yeah.
but yet something that I want to maybe feel or
Yeah.
experience?
Yes. So I love this question. And the first way I'm going to answer this is ask yourself. So I'm going to take you mentioned peace. Let's say you desire inner peace and it's like what you really crave and like you just don't know how to get there. Start asking yourself, all right, Nathalie, what can I do today to make me feel more at peace? Body, what is it that you desire to feel more at peace? Mind, how can I ease your thoughts? So start by even asking yourself, because again, and I say this all the time, in your heart, the answers will come up. So I get them may not be an external ask, but it's still an action or a step that you can put. So I would start by asking yourself those questions. Thank you. That was a
Okay,
great
cool.
question.
So, still an ask, just an internal ask, not necessarily
Yes.
external.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
And
Thank
get
you.
playful with it, right? Like, get playful with, well, like, I tried meditation, I suck at it, it's not for me. So how else can I become more peaceful in my heart? and see what comes up. Like our beautiful, and try not to always listen to what our minds are saying, because we are not our thoughts, but like tap into like the heart space. And if that's hard, journal, write about it. Writing is another beautiful way for things to come out of our being that we didn't really know were there, and or we never really talk about verbally, but it comes out on paper because you're essentially talking to yourself, right? With the journal. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or thoughts? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful Thursday. And don't forget to ask away once you know what your desires are. And if you need support, I'm so here for you. And for those watching the replay, I'll be in touch. Bye, everybody.